Hello, everybody. Hi, I think I'm actually a minute early today. Well, there's a turn up. I'm getting better. It's because I don't trust that I'm going to remember which button to press. I'm trying to do my best at scheduling these beforehand so that you can join me on time if you wish. So hi. Welcome to Thursday Tea Time Live for the 25th of March 2021. And I'm live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. I'm also making this available as a podcast afterwards. Hi, Angela. So if you're not catching this live, then that's fine. You can either see it on playback on YouTube, hi Jane, and Facebook, or it will be available on the podcast as well. So I will try and remember that when I'm showing you stuff on screen, so that I will do my best to describe it for those of you listening as well. Now, the podcast, I believe, is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcast and on Spotify and loads of other ones as well. I thought it was available on absolutely everyone. And then someone asked me about one the other day and I was like, oh, Deezer, I think it is. I'm afraid I don't think it's on that one at the moment, but hopefully it will be sometime soon. So thank you all for joining me again this Thursday. I actually have got no idea how many of these we've done already, but I am really enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing you here. Hi, Miranda. Let me know if you wouldn't mind a thumbs up or however you can do it on Facebook and in the chat on YouTube, just to let me know if you can hear me okay, because I've got a little bit of a different setup today to basically to try and keep my phone charged and my laptop charged so that I can chat for as long as I want and as long as you can stomach me. We did an hour last week. Brilliant. You can hear me. We did an hour. What on earth did I talk about for an hour? Thank you ever so much for all of you who stayed with me last week. I always think, oh, am I going to have enough to talk about? And then there's loads. There is loads, isn't there? There's always stuff going on. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Vera, who has joined my Patreon this week. She's joined as an upper class member. And any of you who would just maybe not want to join Patreon, hiya Cindy, thank you very much for letting me know you can hear me okay. Fabulous. Anyone who wants to not join, hi Pamela, but maybe want to support me, I've stuck a £3 a month tier on there for just people who want to support me. Just thought I'd mention that. It's absolutely not obligatory and you can join me anyway, whatever. But tonight, for those of you who are in my Patreon, I'm going live at 7:00 London time to talk about Elizabeth I. It's Elizabeth I special. I do want a sort of live special each month. And this month it's on Elizabeth I. But we're going to chat as well about Elizabeth I today on this live stream because it was the anniversary of her death yesterday. I'm sure that didn't pass many of you by. She died in 1603. And of course, she was the final Tudor monarch. So that was the switch from the Tudors to the Stuarts. I think the Tudor dynasty or era, if you like, was only 117 years duration. So compared to, well, think of any other that we've had, it's really short. The only other one I can think of that's short and yet gets its own name is the Edwardian era. I think King Edward, as in so Victoria's eldest son, I think he was on the throne for something like 9 years, not 9 or 11 years, something like that. Not very long, and yet we think of Edwardian England. I don't think that was much to do with him either. It's just his name lent itself to an era. And do you know his actual name was Albert? His first name was Albert after his father. But he felt like he'd let his father down so much that he didn't warrant the name. So apparently, that's why he decided to be an Edward. Because a lot of monarchs have chosen a different name on assumption of the throne. So yeah, anyway, I thought that one was interesting. Can't even remember how I know that. I don't really remember how I know all sorts of stuff that I know. But So yeah, we'll come back to talking about Elizabeth in a moment. As you know, she was the lady who got me into history, so I love talking about her. But I wanted to let you know as well, I know a few of you follow me obviously on Facebook and Instagram and places like that, and I've been sharing places where, I mean, I always do places, but I think you'll be interested in visiting. Obviously at the moment it's like building up those bucket lists ready for us all to get out and about again. And I was thinking, why don't I just start doing a little series on YouTube about that, on maybe a weekly basis, and just go through some of those places and actually chat about why I think you'd be interested in visiting them. So I will be starting that in probably next week. I'll get going on that, so that should be fun. That will all be on the freebie as well. Right, let's talk about Elizabeth. So I don't know if you saw, but I put a video out yesterday, and it wasn't about her death, but it was sort of my commemoration, if you like, of her death. And last year I did a special, which is still available, where I covered 3 locations. Hatfield House, where she found out she was queen, Tower of London, where of course she would have gone before her coronation, but she was also held prisoner there. Obviously her mother was kept there and executed there. So covered Hatfield, Tower of London and Kenilworth Castle, which we've spoken about before, which was owned, or at least the lease was owned, by her favourite Robert Dudley, and he had a 19-day pageant there for her. Basically a really elaborate marriage proposal, which obviously came to nothing. I've read accounts that say that actually she should have been there for 3 weeks, which is 21 days. I was just trying to do the maths then. It's 21 days. But she was there for 19. So there's a little bit of was it cut short for some reason? Anyway, that's the Elizabeth I special. But the one I put out yesterday was about her Tilbury speech. Now, the Tilbury speech is this one that she gave before, or whilst the Spanish Armada was making its way to England. So this was the speech she gave to the troops that were assembled at Tilbury, ready for a possible invasion from Spanish troops. Now, actually, when she gave that speech, it's very likely that either her council or she already knew that the Spanish Armada, the threat from the Spanish Armada, had actually dissipated, it gone. So it's very unlikely that they were going to get invaded. And this is the speech that, hi everyone who's just joined. I'm just talking about Elizabeth first because she died. It's the anniversary of her death yesterday. And I've got a video out on YouTube, and I put the link on Facebook as well, actually, on my page, and talking about the Tilbury speech. So I didn't actually talk about her death yesterday. The video was about this Tilbury speech, but my commemoration, if you like, to her on the anniversary of her death. And the Tilbury speech, so she gave it to the assembled troops at Tilbury. They're all there thinking that the Spanish might be invading. She possibly knew that they weren't going to be by the time she gave the speech. However, I did the video to go through. You'll notice my hair is totally different. It's because it's a video that I recorded a little while ago. My hair is actually short and dark in that one, but it is me. And there's 4 versions of the speech. And I go through the different versions, where they come from, the similarities between them, why they might be different, why there might be different versions. And then I have a go at actually, I was going to say reciting one, but I think to recite, you have to do something by memory, and I read it. But anyway, I did the speech. And this is the one where she talks about having, I may have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and a king of England too. And it carries on. Now, she was at Tilbury. She did deliver the speech, although there's some who question whether she actually gave the speech or not. And I go through that in the video as well. But it's not at Tilbury Fort. So there's a fort at Tilbury. There always has been since Henry VIII's day. There's been a fort at Tilbury, maybe before that, I'm not sure, but definitely Henry VIII, one of Henry VIII's fortifications on the southern coast when he broke with Europe, or with Catholic Europe, when he broke with the Pope. So, but now it was used in World War II, so it doesn't look like it did in Tudor times. So you topple off down to Tilbury Fort and think this is where Elizabeth delivered her speech. Well, she didn't. She delivered it somewhere called Tilbury Camp. And I, with the help of some books that I'd read, obviously, found, or at least tried to locate, and I think I found the spot where she delivered the speech, or at least where the camp was. And so I've put that in the video. Do you know what, though? I did the video, I recorded it, and then last night, I edited it all together, and then last night I found even more footage of the site. And I was like, damn it. So it's the anniversary of that speech, I think 9th of August. So I'll do another video then anyway and include more of it. But anyway, I go through the versions of the speech and trying to find the location where she delivered the speech as well. Which you won't believe well, I didn't believe it, for such a important monarch, famous monarch, but, you know, for good reason, I think, and such a famous speech. Watch the video. You will, I was flabbergasted. There's nothing to indicate that this was such an important, significant place. Not even a little plaque on the side of the road. Nothing. But anyway, have a look. Go have a look at the video. Welcome everyone who's just joined us. Thank you for joining me for Thursday Tea Time Live. Did anyone, by the way, make the Queen's drop scones last week? I was talking about the recipe for Elizabeth II. There's a nice little swift move there from Elizabeth I to Elizabeth II. It was her recipe that I shared last week, or showed you, for drop scones, which I actually wasn't completely sure what they are, but apparently you fry them, so a little bit like a thick pancake. And it was the recipe that she sent to President Eisenhower, I think it was. So I've shared that on both YouTube and Facebook. And I had a couple of emails from people clarifying the measurements, because she was using teacups, which I'm presuming was her nod to the fact that over in the US you use a cup, and we generally use grams, and what do we use? Pounds and ounces. Depends what your generation is. Hi David, thanks for joining us. Hi Soledad. I think I've missed a few of you who've just joined as well. Sorry, it all flicks up over the screen and then I lose. Dorian, I think, has just joined us. Hi, welcome. So anyway, yes, let me know if you did have a go at the scones, because I kind of want to know. I should have a go, really, shouldn't I? Maybe I should have a go, and I'll share with you how well I do, or not. I used to be good at cooking and baking, and then anyway, got out of practice. But anyway, yeah, you'll find that I wrote it up, so you'll find that recipe. And actually, I found that book, it was called Letters of Note, and I showed it you last week. I found that the Letters of Note have got an Instagram account and a website, and you can sign up on their website, and they send you, I don't know if it's a daily email, it might not be quite that frequent, but kind of like a favorite note out of their books, and because it's private correspondence in these books. I think the tagline is private correspondence worthy of a wider audience, something like that. Anyway, it's well worth following them on Instagram and maybe signing up, because there was a funny one yesterday, a note from a lady to her husband's lover, just to say, do you mind? It's like, do you mind? I'm kind of getting a little bit bored of disciplining people, so can you just stop? It's like, it's really funny. Anyway, so yeah, so we've talked about Elizabeth. you know, I like to recommend books. Well, this is one that I'm a little bit, I'm only a little way through. You think I read all the time. I don't. I just try and get through them. Anyway, this book, John Guy, so he is fabulous. And he's got this book on Elizabeth. He's also got one on Mary Queen of Scots, which the most recent film was supposedly based on. Don't know. I'm not convinced. It was a waste of my life, those 2 hours, in my opinion. Anyway, here's my recommendation for today. John Guy's book on Elizabeth I. I also listened to, on Audible, Kate Williams' book about Elizabeth and Mary, Queen of Scots, because they're such, they're so important in each other's lives. They're so influential on the overall story. It's almost impossible to look at one without looking at the other. And actually, we're going to be going to up to Scotland to do a Mary Queen of Scots tour next year, which is quite exciting. We've got some new tours next year, actually. Mary Queen of Scots and Titanic with Gareth Russell. It's also going to be next year. I need to firm up the details and then I will share them so that anyone who wants to come along can. I think 2022. I'm looking forward. I'm actually looking forward to later on this year. We've got some tours, so I'm being very positive. Very positive. And I can't wait to see people. So yeah, in the meantime, though, I will carry on with these, carry on with the British history series on YouTube. I don't know if anyone's noticed, I've actually changed the name of the channel on YouTube from British History Tours to British History, because I realised the tours are something separate to what I do in terms of introducing people to history. So anyone who has joined me after I mentioned, I'm going to start doing a series from next week, just about places that you might want to pop on your bucket list, that you might find of interest to go and visit, because I share them anyway on Facebook. So I may as well do a little chat about them. I think I'll do that and see how, see whether you enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, I'll continue. And if you don't, then I won't. Simple as that. Simple as that. So, and I've mentioned this before, but this isn't the only place you can catch me live. If you are on Clubhouse, I'm at Philippa B on Clubhouse. Now, Clubhouse is totally new, so I you may not even heard of it. And it's just talk, but it's all live. It's not recorded. There's no written element to it. There's no videos or pictures other than your profile picture. It's a bit like going to a seminar and being able to duck into a room and listen to a talk, but you get to ask questions if you want to and contribute. So it's really fun. It's only for iPhone and iPad users at the moment, which is a shame, but I think they're going to do something about that very, very quickly. I'm on there live on a Monday and a Friday at 5 o'clock for History Half Hour. I'm on there on a Wednesday morning at 8:30. This is all London timing, 8:30 a.m. for a chilled Tudor chat where we talk about things that have happened in Tudor history this week. And also, right, this one is really fun. So I'm dying for this to open up to everybody so you can all get involved. 8:15 on a Wednesday evening, we do History After Dark. Now, I know that over in the US, you're not evening time. And actually, down in Australia, you're morning time. But for us, it's History After Dark. And that means we can, as far as we're concerned, we can release the reins a little bit. And we've talked about the detail about being hung, drawn and quartered. That was one evening. We've done rude English place names. Well, actually British place names, excuse me. Not just English. Oh my goodness, some of them are very rude. Very rude. Absolutely hilarious. And last night we did stupid deaths. So you can see why this is a History After Dark room that we do. But it's very funny and still very informative. Like, brilliant. And I do it with Catherine Brooks. Hi, Linda from Michigan. Yes, welcome. What time are we on? What are you, about 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that? No, somewhere around that. Yeah, so I'm on there with Catherine Brooks, Brooks, who's the Tudor tracker, Sarah Morris, who's the Tudor travel guide, and Kat Marchant, who is Dr. Kat on YouTube. She does the channel Reading the Past, a really, really successful channel on YouTube. Hi, Rachel in Taunton. You're back from the school run. Brilliant. Welcome. I forget about the school. So I'm out. I'm off the school run today. My husband's dealing with it. So anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining as soon as you're back. 11:19 a.m. over there in Michigan. Okay, you're not quite as far behind as I thought you were. Our clocks changed this weekend, by the way. Anyway, anyone UK based who didn't know that, I think they're this weekend. Spring forward, isn't it? So we lose an hour from our really packed days where we get out and about. Oh no, hang on. I must be thinking about a different year. Anyway, soon we'll be out. I've had my jab. I know lots of you have had, because you've been in touch with me telling me that you have. So soon we'll be free of all this and getting out and about. So can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. So yeah, any of you who want to come and find me on Clubhouse, I'm at Philippa B. And if you're not on Clubhouse, but you have an iPhone or an iPad and you want to get on there, it's by invite only at the moment, frustratingly. But if you message me, I have got a few invites that I can send out. What's the best way of you getting in touch with me? Probably email me actually at office@britishhistorytours.com if you're interested, and I will. I've only got a couple of invites that I can send out, but so it'll be on a first come first serve basis. But if you want to do that, then then get in touch with me. We've got some new rooms. Hi, Valerie. We've got some new rooms coming up as well. I've mentioned Gareth Russell and the Titanic. We're going to be doing a room around that. I've met a lady on there called Beatrice, who is a Tuscan tour guide who loves Britain. So we're like, I'm going to say she's the Italian version of me. She speaks amazing English. I'm desperate to speak more Italian. Anyway, I don't put in the effort. So what do I expect? And we're going to do a room about Anglo-Italian history and the links there. So that's going to be really fun. There's other rooms coming up as well with other people. So anyway, I'm going to be here live every Thursday still. But if you're on Clubhouse, you can catch me live there as well. That's basically what I'm trying to say. What else have I got on? So any of you who are in the Tudor Society, I'm currently writing an article about Mary I. And actually, think about it, this is linked to another event which happened in this week in Tudor history, which is the passing of the first act of succession of Henry VIII. So this is the one in March 1534 that said, the marriage to Catherine of Aragon is now, well, it states that it's illegal and it's annulled. And it's key that it was annulled. It wasn't a divorce, which I know the divorce beheaded died, divorce beheaded survived. Little rhyme kind of knocks that on the head because it's not correct. It wasn't a divorce, because a divorce says we've had a marriage and now we're split. An annulment says that marriage never existed in the first place. And that's key in this case, because at the same time, what that meant was that the children from the marriage of Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII were illegitimate. So Mary I, at the age of 17, becomes illegitimate. Her title changes from princess to lady. I mean, she had been Princess of Wales. She had been at Ludlow Castle as Princess of Wales, the seat of the Council of the Marches there, and it's kind of like a little mini kingdom, Ludlow Castle. That was I think what they were trying to do with it, and it never really worked because you had Arthur there. Prince Arthur Tudor died. Edward V died. Anyway, didn't quite work out. But Mary had been there as Princess of Wales. She was recognised as heir to the throne, heir to Henry. Anyway, this first act of succession wiped all that from underneath her. Said that her mother could not ever be referred to as the Queen again, which they both stubbornly did. That Mary became Lady Mary, not Princess Mary. They couldn't see each other, by the way, either after this, for fear of rebellion. And that at the same time, the marriage to Anne Boleyn was obviously totally was correct and legal, etc., and that their children would be the heirs to the throne. Critically, also said that the female line would take on, and Elizabeth had been born by this point. She was born in 1533. So my article is going to be about Mary the First. The edition is the Wrath. They're doing an edition about Wrath. And I could have chosen any Tudor character, but I've gone for Mary because once she was in power, I actually looked at the definition of wrath. See if you can see Mary in this: strong, stern, or fierce anger, deeply resentful indignation. And an indignation, by definition, is anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. To me, I read that and I was like, "That's Mary." That's Mary. I mean, a lot was done to her that was just cruel. She, how old was she when she came to the throne? 36, 35, 36. I think she was 37 when she married Prince Philip of Spain. Hi, Andrew. So her life literally was turned upside down. At 17, she had, well, up till then, she'd been, the most eligible bachelorette. That's how you say it, in Europe, pretty much. And after that, no, she wasn't a worthwhile bride. So imagine that. It's not really then too far to stretch the imagination to work out why she was the way she was when she became queen. And of course, she was an ardent Catholic, and her father had not only broken with Rome, but then we had the Reformation under her brother Edward, and she was absolutely determined we were going back to Catholicism and going back to being under the Pope. So one of the places actually I'm going to cover probably really early on in the series about places to go is Gloucester Cathedral. And Gloucester Cathedral has got a massive history. I mean, it's in England. Everywhere seems to have a massive history. Actually, Henry and Anne visited there on their summer progress of 1535. So we're going there on the On Progress tour, actually. But there was a bishop there, the Bishop of Gloucester, a man called John Hooper, and he wouldn't revert to go back basically to Catholicism when Mary came to the throne, and he was burnt at the stake just outside the precinct walls. And there's a gate, and the name of the gate escapes me at the moment. And when you say a gate to somewhere, if you've seen that, it's generally like basically a building with the gate is underneath the building, and there's a room on the top over this gate. And Amanda's got Amanda has joined with her cherry bakewell. Excellent choice. So John Hooper, so Bishop of Gloucester, he was burnt at the stake outside the gate, and I'll cover this when I do the video. And his order, if you like, I can't think of the proper name of them, but basically the other people from that abbey were forced to watch him. Oh, that's nice, Mary. That's really lovely. And actually, if you go there now, outside of the gate, St Mary's Gate. Oh yes, of course, Andrew. Thank you for that. It's called St Mary's Gate. Yes, definitely. Irony. And there's a Victorian monument to him there. He wasn't the only one as well. I'm pretty sure a young boy was killed there as well for similar reasons, that he wasn't capitulating to the new regime. Now, interestingly, well, I think it's interesting. It's a Victorian monument, because the Victorians got very nostalgic. We talked about it last week when we talked about the Palace of Holyrood House, where Mary Queen of Scots' private secretary Rizzio was murdered, and how the Victorians did. This is where you started to get people showing other tourists around houses and stately homes and things like that, and the Palace of Holyrood House has got this red boot polish, which I'm going to call them room guides for want of a better explanation of their role, had put there to kind of add literally colour to the story. Totally wrong place, absolutely nothing to do with the actual murder. But anyway, there was this nostalgia in Victorian times, which is why we see so many statues, potentially to, people that maybe you wouldn't put a statue up to now. But there was this huge nostalgia. I mean, the Boudica statue outside the House of Parliament on the other side of the road, next to the river, that was Prince Albert, as far as I believe, wanted that statue. I think Cromwell's statue went up in Victorian times, and the one of Richard the Lionheart. Anyway, and this one to Bishop Hooper, Bishop of Gloucester, John Hooper, was also put up then. Which I just find a little bit fascinating. But yeah, tourism actually started in the way we would think of it in Victorian times. I think people they started en masse to have more of of spare time, not loads of spare time, but spare time enough to do to travel. You had tram networks, the trains obviously were coming in, and because I also did a quick video from Wroxeter, Roman city, which is in Shropshire. That's on my Instagram reels, or IGTV perhaps. Anyway, and the problem with it was people got interested in everything that was going in their history, whilst there was no real measures in there to protect where they were going to see. So at Wroxeter, you had Coco says travel had become easier so they could visit places. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so at Wroxeter, Monica's in Italy. Ciao, Monica. And Paolo, welcome. Yeah, so the Victorians, what do you want when you go and visit somewhere? You want a souvenir. There's no souvenir shops at this time. So what do? They pinch a little bit of whatever they've gone to see. So the heating stacks at Wroxeter under the where the baths would have been, and then they had the if you've seen a Roman spa, they've got like a series of rooms of different temperatures, and they had underfloor heating. Fantastic. It took us another 2,000 years to work out how to put that back in over here. Anyway, I don't know about in Italy. And so they've got the stacks under the floor, and then obviously the warm air would circulate under the floor. Anyway, these heating stacks, the ones that are there now are replicas because tourists would just come and nick a bit. What would you do with it? What did they do with a piece of ceramic, basically, or whatever it would have been? Paperweight? Like, where did it go? And the Boscobel oak, the oak that Charles II famously hid in while he was trying to escape to the continent after the civil wars were lost in the 17th century. That oak died, and the one that's there now is a what would you call it? It's like an offspring of that tree, but the original one died because people took bits of the bark, and I presume after a certain while it just hurt the tree too much, and killed the tree. So killed with love perhaps, but not very good. Not very good. So yeah, the Victorians have got a lot to answer for. I think generally probably good overall rather than bad, but yeah, some of the stuff was questionable. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any questions about what we've been talking about. If you are in my Patreon, then I'll see you at 7:00 tonight, in 3.5 hours, that is, to talk about Elizabeth in more detail. But I was saying, anyone who's joined me since, that on YouTube at the moment, I made available yesterday a video about Elizabeth's Tilbury speech. It was the anniversary of her death yesterday, so rather than talk about her death, I actually decided to commemorate it by talking about one of her most famous speeches. And I mean, she delivered it on horseback with armor on. She'd gone to site. The guy in charge of the camp, of Tilbury camp, was of course Leicester, Robert Dudley, Earl of Leicester, who was her favourite. He's the guy who had the lease at Kenilworth Castle, who entertained her for 19 days in a massively elaborate marriage proposal, which didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. So, you know, she went there and delivered her speech, but quite probably already knowing that the threat had gone, which is interesting. And of course, the Spanish Armada was at the time of Philip II of Spain, who had been Elizabeth's brother-in-law. Oh, it all like it all links in some way. Right. Well, I'm not ham at all. I think I finished everything I was going to say today. So I'll just remind you again, I know I push it a lot, but I am on Clubhouse because I go there live. So basically you can come and chat with me there if you're on there at Philippa B. I am. And you can email me, office@britishhistorytours.com, if you would like to come onto Clubhouse and you can't get an invite at the moment. I have a couple that I can give away. So just email me and we'll see if we can sort that out for you. And you can come and join us there. Monica, I think you're already on there. And I will be next live on there at 5:00 on tomorrow. I was going to say on Friday, that is tomorrow, where we're doing an hour-long special on Elizabeth. Elizabeth is just one of my heroes. Flawed, that's one of the reasons why I took to her, actually, was because when I was looking for female role model, that's how I got into history. I was looking for a female role model. I looked backwards. I found Elizabeth. And one of the reasons I was attracted to her story was because she wasn't perfect and wasn't made out to be perfect. You know, she had a temper. She sometimes, well, I was going to say she sometimes changed her mind. I think we're all allowed to change our mind from time to time. I think we should be anyway. Yeah, so anyway, that's why. So I would talk about her all day. But yeah, check out the Tilbury speech video. Check out the Elizabeth I special one that I did, which this is saying the connection's unstable on YouTube, so I'm sorry if I'm disappearing. Yeah, her excommunication by the Pope. That was a fun one to do because I got to look into, well, why, if she's the Reformed religion, what we now term Protestantism, would she be bothered about being excommunicated by the Pope? Well, anyway, you can watch the video and have a look at that. But that was quite an interesting one to do. Anyway, so yes, so from next week, I will be releasing a travel video as well. So somewhere, I don't know if you have any suggestions of somewhere you'd like me to cover first. I'm going to cover something that I've already put out on Instagram, probably, because I've put out loads. I don't know if any of you seen my Chester, my recent videos about Chester. That's quite a fun one to do. I might do that one. Anyway, see, there's so many. There really is so many. I can't wait to get out and about again. And when I do, I may well even do some of these lives from on location. That would be fun, wouldn't it? And maybe show you around some places. We shall see. Right, everybody, I will leave you to your evening or your morning or wherever you are, and see you this time next week, hopefully. I'd love for you to join me. In the meantime, take care, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.